Hi, I'm Karin. Welcome to my kitchen. This is everything stereotypically Minnesotan in a ball that you can eat. Anyone familiar with those grad party or game day meatballs that take a bottle of barbecue sauce and a jar of grape jelly? We're riffing on that today. We're using frozen blueberries. They taste better if you make them wearing flannel. I'm basing this dish today around Minnesota venison, wild rice, and blueberries. All of the other items should be fairly typical pantry things, and you can be flexible with the meat. If you're using a lean meat like venison or turkey, you're going to want to use another meat that's a little bit fattier to kind of cut it. Meatballs need fat. I'm doing equal parts fatty pork, venison, and beef. We're basically making a barbecue sauce with what we have. We want something, a sweet element. We want something kind of dark and deeper. We also need a bit of onion, kind of umami. I have this pan on a low heat. I'm just adding a little bit of oil and we'll sweat our shallot. This is just a couple tablespoons of shallot, a couple tablespoons of tomato paste, and in go the blueberries. About a teaspoon of ancho powder, and a little bit of Dijon mustard. We're adding a splash of Worcester sauce. Don't go crazy though, not yet. A splash of white wine vinegar. Red wine vinegar would also be great, or cider vinegar. We're also going to need some sweetness in this sauce. What might you ask is the most Minnesotan sweetener out there? That's right, maple syrup. Brown sugar would also be great in this, but I just want to make a point. This looks like when I pretended to cook in the backyard as a kid. We're covering this to help the blueberries break down, and since every batch of berries is different, we're keeping our seasonings nearby. All right, well, while the sauce is just simmering gently back there, we're gonna start the meatballs. I have my oven preheated to 425 degrees. We're actually going to brown them in the oven today. There are a million ways to make meatballs, a million different variations, different things you can put in them, different ratios, but I'm going to show you kind of a general concept. The idea is flexible recipes so that you don't have to go to the store as much. Waste not, want not. Unless you have an allergy, you're going to want some kind of allium in your meatballs. In other words, an onion, garlic, you could use shallot, and I'm going to actually use all three today. I don't like big pieces of onion falling out of my meatballs. So I'm chopping all of these pretty finely, mincing them. I have 1 tablespoon each of garlic and shallot and about a half cup of white onion. In the meantime, the blueberries are starting to break down. Another really important component of meatballs, I believe, is having herbs. Parsley is a really great one. It's really versatile. So that's what we're going to use today. We want to chop our herbs pretty finely. Now the other component in a meatball is some kind of a binding agent. Usually it's a breadcrumb, or you could use ground up oats. In this case, I'm going to use some broken wild rice. This is actually going to act more as a textural and flavor component. You can also use regular wild rice. However, you'll probably need to use a little bit of oat or breadcrumb with it. You also don't want to use too much because it'll kind of poke out of the meatballs. You don't want it to look like there are dog nails in your meatballs. We have all of our main components. Now we just need to season and add liquid. Sometimes it's nice to add a warm spice. In this case, I'm adding just a little bit of nutmeg. Not enough to really taste it. Definitely salt and pepper. Take a little bit of the meat and sear it in a pan, so just cook it and see if it has enough salt in it. Don't be shy with your seasoning here. And we're going to add an egg to these meatballs. An egg helps to kind of bind the little pieces, parts into your meatballs. It's unusual to need more than 1 egg per pound of meat. We really want to stir meatballs by hand. We basically just want to mix this until all the components are distributed evenly and we can form a ball. Giving it a quick kind of pre-stir before adding any liquid. I'm going to add maybe even just a 1/3 cup of milk here. And remember, this is for 3 pounds of meat. I'm kind of like just doing that a little bit rather than, I'm not kneading it. I'm kind of fluffing it and distributing it. Unlike making sausage, you don't want to emulsify meatball mix. So if it starts to stick to your gloves, you're probably going too hard. Here's my tester piece. I'm adding just a touch more salt and pepper because I'm using venison and sometimes game meat wants more pepper. Then we're going to be ready to ball this out. Some kind of a scoop, like a little ice cream scoop, preferably. It'll keep them uniform. And then some water for your hands. Simply scoop all of the meatballs out, and then I'm going to shape them with my hands. It's more efficient to do it that way than to stop and finish each one. The meatballs can be pretty close together on the tray, but just know that they're going to release some fat and liquid. We'll bake these until they're nicely brown on the outside. It's oven time. And in the meantime, we finish our sauce. If the sauce is too thick, you can add a bit of stock or water. And remember, you want the sauce to be very flavorful. I blended the sauce here because it will cling to the meatballs better. I also added some extra mustard. It'll make it not taste like you're eating meatballs for dessert. Also add some molasses. I would add just a little bit. Meanwhile, our meatballs are done. I poured off the excess fat and will slowly simmer them in the sauce in the oven. I'm putting simple potato wedges in the oven at the same time. By the time those are done, the meatballs will have simmered long enough. So there you have it. Spoon a little extra sauce to serve, and you've got meatballs with all the dark, rich flavor of the North Woods. These will be simply luscious with this Monte das Promesas. I can't wait to hear what my friend Erin has to say about it. So between that blueberry barbecue sauce or this wine, you're going to end up with some pretty dark lips. So maybe not the best first date meal. No one should be going on first dates right now anyway. It is safe for first dates again, though. Maybe this will be a good test. If they can't handle some blueberry lips, there's a real problem. Enjoy the tastes of Minnesota this week. I'm Karin. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. We're riffing on that, only we're using flows evenly, and we're able to kind of mold it together.